I just finished a full year of shopping and now the guardrails are off. I am doing a 2026 low buy and I'm a little bit nervous. I'm scared of slipping back into my old ways, impulse shopping, relying a little bit too much on retail therapy, and repeating my past mistakes from previous attempts at low buys. Let's talk about why I need rules, because some people can just do the thing. I am not one of those people. So I had a lot of questionable shopping habits before I did my 2025 no buy. I tried doing a low buy in 2024 and I absolutely failed it. I had given myself the restriction of only buying 12 items throughout the year, and by March I had blown past that, and then I finished off the year by adding over 70 items to my wardrobe, some of which didn't even make it into my closet for the whole year. I bought them in the beginning of 2024 and by the end they had been decluttered. I also enjoyed panic buying a bunch of pieces before a trip, shopping during seasonal transitions because I either tired of winter and ready for spring or tired of summer and ready for fall. And I just relied on retail therapy a lot when I was feeling sad. I didn't really have a lot of coping mechanisms, and so shopping was it. So through my no buy, I really learned what I have, and I was able to appreciate and understand the pieces that were in my wardrobe. Because I wasn't bringing anything new, I was styling the same pieces over and over again through my Style It or Say Goodbye series, style challenges, and just playing in my closet. So by styling the same pieces over and over again, I was really able to see what were my favorites and why, and what wasn't really getting reached for as much and why that was too. I got to focus on the details of why pieces were my go-tos while others ended up getting decluttered from my wardrobe. And it taught me a lot about what is a yes and what is a no in my wardrobe. Because for me, a lot of times, I would buy pieces that weren't 100% perfect. I'd be looking for a specific item, and I would pick up something that was almost exactly what I wanted, but not quite. So I would put that piece in my wardrobe. It wouldn't exactly fill the hole that I was trying to fill, and then I would declutter it because it wasn't perfect. So now, starting off with a mindset where I want to only let pieces in that I think are going to be my favorites is going to be the big challenge for 2026. Because on one side, I've learned all this stuff from my no buy, and I have a lot of knowledge at my disposal that I think is really going to help me narrow down the pieces that I bring into my wardrobe. But there is the other side of me that I know deep down is still there. That is the girl who wants to buy something and there is something that is almost 100% perfect, that is checking almost all the boxes and is just so close to being there, and just buys the piece anyway because it's almost perfect and I just want that feeling of getting something new. So that is definitely in the back of my mind, and why the rules are important is so when I am feeling that way, I sort of have some guardrails to hang on to keep me stable and keep me on track. So let's talk about the rules. The first thing that I want to implement is a shopping checklist, a list of questions I ask myself before I buy something. This is going to help me take a step back, take my mind away from the rush of bringing something new in, and just breathe, and then think about the context with which I'm bringing the item in. Because the other piece of my shopping problems in the past has been when I'm out shopping, I'm thinking about the piece that I'm considering purchasing as like this singular object. And it's just this pretty thing that I'm gonna bring into my life. When really that thing that I'm thinking about purchasing is potentially a piece of a puzzle that I've already started building. The puzzle piece being the new thing that I'm bringing in, and the puzzle that's already being built being the wardrobe that I already started creating. So the puzzle piece and the puzzle have to fit together in the right way. So it helps me move forward in building the puzzle, aka evolving my style. And so I think a shopping checklist is really going to help be a guide. So this is a list of questions that I have on my phone and I'm going to reference when I'm out shopping. And then I'm going to ask myself before I end up pulling the trigger on a purchase. Question 1, what is this adding to my existing wardrobe? Question 2, is there anything that makes me even feel a little bit uncomfortable when I'm wearing this? And I'm not just talking about itchy fabric or fit. I'm talking about, are the sleeves too short? Is it the fabric already getting linty? Like if you can find any defect in something you're like trying on for the first time, don't buy it. Just trust me. Because the defect whatever that might be, fit or fabric or whatnot, will just become more and more obvious the less shiny and new that piece becomes. Question number 3, is this something that I've thought about before right now? This is gonna get me, I think, because a lot of my purchases have been impulse purchases, particularly at the thrift store. Sometimes you're in a thrift store and just something takes over and you just somehow have like 15 things in your cart. It's happened to all of us, I think. So this is gonna be a particularly useful rule at the thrift store for me. Number 4, what is drawing me to this piece? What are the details about it that I really love? So I included this question because I think it's gonna actually help me to see patterns in what I'm drawn to, because I think understanding those details are gonna help me with future purchases. If it's something as simple as a color, deciding whether or not I need that color in that piece, or if I should be looking for other pieces in that specific color that maybe would work better within my wardrobe. But also understanding the details that I like, I think will help me if I'm searching for something. Let's say I really want a short sleeve blouse and I know I really like a pleat. Then looking at pleated blouses could help me narrow down what I'm looking for in terms of blouses. I think understanding the details that you like helps narrow down when you're searching for new pieces, because there are such vast options in the fashion industry and the secondhand industry that being able to narrow your search down and using details that you know and love can make it more likely that when you do end up purchasing something, if it has the details that you already know you like, there's a higher chance that it's something that'll stick around in your wardrobe. Question 5, what can I put this money towards instead of this item? And I think that's a really great question. I am someone who loves a facial, but they're a little bit expensive. But I think that if I was able to convert all of the money I spent on the clothes that I decluttered this year into facials, I could get quite a few facials. So that's something that I think is important. Like if you're on the fence about something or you're not sure if you should spend the money on it, comparing it to something that's not clothing. Oh, would I prefer a fancy dinner to this? Would I like to go get a facial instead of this? Or just something special that could be an experience over this material item can be a really eye-opening question for a lot of us. And the final question is, how will this change the cost per wear of my existing items? Someone wrote this in the comments of my 2025 no-buy video, and I was like, whoa. Because that's something I think I also didn't realize, was like, when you bring something new in, you're wearing the other stuff that you have less. And that's not the goal. That's not the goal. The goal is to get down to my favorite pieces and wear them nonstop. Like, I want to be in my favorite outfit every day. And so that's a question I'm definitely going to bring up a lot throughout my low buy year, I think. So thank you to the commenter who took the time to write that one, because I really loved it. Now let's talk about wish lists. I feel like for a lot of people, they use the wish list as like the concrete thing that you pull from. You put a specific item on the wish list and then you wait 5 days, 6 months, whatever, and then you buy the thing. I don't think that's something that's really going to work for me. I have a bit of a persistent personality, so I don't need the thing to be on a list for me to remember it for over a year. I have many things in my brain that I saw in 2025 and still am interested in purchasing. Whether or not I think that is going to add to my wardrobe or not is a different question. So I don't know if that iteration of a wish list is something that will work for me and what my goals are for the low buy. But I do have a wish list of like details and bits and pieces of sorts of things that I'm interested in adding to my wardrobe. For example, a short sleeve natural fiber, like cottony blouse with some sort of neckline detail in a print that is more like natural, like a floral or something with a little bit of movement. That's a 3-color print. Is there a specific top that fits all those boxes? Not that I've seen, but it's definitely something I've got my eye on and that I'm looking out for. Another example is like a spring weight printed jacket with a print that's like more stagnant, like a stripe or a gingham or a check or something like straight lines, and not something that's like a floral, and have that be in more like earthy colors, greens, blues, browns, that sort of thing. Not sure if this is the same jacket, but like a more soft fabric jacket, I think too could fit in that description, because a lot of my jackets are quite structured. So I just have these details that I've seen or noticed that I think could work in my wardrobe, but I don't have any specific items that I'm like, that is it. That's what I want to add. Put it in my wish list, and I'm going to wait 3 weeks, and then if it's still there, I'll buy it. So that's how I'm going to use my wish list in 2026, is like writing down my sort of musings about things that I feel like could make an impact in my wardrobe or could create more styling opportunities within the different outfits that I create. Another thing that someone commented on my no buy video in regards to wish lists was using the wish list as a place to start if you're feeling spendy. Like if you do want to have a little retail therapy, buying something from your wish list, because it's more likely to be a purchase that you'll actually end up using and it won't feel so impulsive. And that really resonated with me because I'm somebody who will go to the thrift store if I want to have some retail therapy. And that's not a good place to want retail therapy, because it's like one of a kind things. If you leave it, there's a chance that it won't be there when you get back. And there's a lot of like really cool, interesting one of a kind things and old stuff and just cool things at the thrift store. So it's not the best place to go when I'm feeling like I need some retail therapy. So I think I might be using this sort of advice for things that I have had my eye on, not particularly on a wish list, but like the things that I've been thinking about maybe pulling the trigger on those instead of going to the thrift store when I need some retail therapy. Next, I'm going to have a volume limit this year, and it's not going to be 12 like the other 2 years that I tried to do a low buy. I'm going to allow myself 20 items this year. So how did I get to the number 20? I looked back at 2025 and I saw how many pieces were brought in, whether I bought the accessories myself or I was gifted pieces from my friends and family as well as brands. And that number ended up being 29. And I think that if I'm buying pieces myself, I'll be asking for less pieces from friends and family. I'll ask for different gifts. And so I think that's going to reduce the number. And I think that 20 feels good. Something about it, 20 feels good. And I mean, this is a learning experience. If I go over 20, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I really want to try my best to stick to it. It's not some malleable number that I'm going to so easily go over. But for example, if I get a gift and I go over, like, it is what it is, I'm not going to refuse a gift. But like, that's what I mean. I'm going to do my very best to stay under the 20 items, and that's going to include clothes, shoes, handbags, accessories, all of it. So I just want to do my best. And that's the number I came up with. So I'm also going to be doing a 1 in, 1 out rule. If you saw my closet inventory video, you saw that I still have over 200 clothing items in my wardrobe. That's not including shoes or bags or accessories. And it still feels like I have a lot of clothes. So I do want to maintain and reduce my wardrobe. I want to keep decluttering. I want to keep analyzing what I have and deciding what needs to go and what needs to stay. And I want to be able to remove something from my closet if I'm bringing something new in. I think the number of clothes that I have already feels like too much. And so I think if I'm going to bring something in, I want it to either take the job of something I already have that's not perfect, or I want it to be doing something completely new. And then in which case, maybe I don't need as much of some other category. And so I think the 1 in, 1 out rule, in addition to my continued decluttering and style it or say goodbye efforts, is going to really help me continue in my quest for a curated wardrobe. Next, I will be tracking everything. I'm going to be tracking what I'm bringing in as well as what I'm decluttering throughout the year. This is so I can make sure I follow through on my 1 in, 1 out rule, but I also want to track how my wardrobe is feeling versus what the numbers actually end up being. Like, I felt like I had 250 items in my wardrobe at the beginning of 2025, and I had over 300 So the curiosity in me is interested to see how my wardrobe shifts, what that feels like in my day-to-day use of it, whether that's creating outfits, if I feel like I have a small wardrobe or like what that feels like, and then actually seeing what the numbers reflect. I've gotten to see what a 350 piece wardrobe feels like compared to a 250 piece wardrobe. But what is a 250 piece wardrobe compared to a 150 piece wardrobe? So that's where my curiosity lies. And I do love like analytics and tracking and all that stuff. So that's more for fun than anything else. I don't know if that's going to really help my low buy other than keeping track of it to make sure I stay on track. But I think it's fun. So that's why I'm including it in my low buy. Now we're going to talk about the style direction. So what are the details and the requirements that I have in place for any new piece that I'm considering bringing into my wardrobe? So the first thing is my color palette. If you don't know, I have a personal color palette that I created through looking for patterns within my own wardrobe. I created a whole video on it, so if you want to learn a little bit more, I will link it here as well as down below. But I love using it as a guide for what pieces to bring into my wardrobe because I think having a cohesive color palette can make creating outfits a lot easier. In addition, I am going to reassess my color palette this year. I'm not sure when, but after removing over 100 items from my wardrobe, I think it might be time to just see what colors are still sticking around, see if I added any new colors or if there's any colors that I can remove. And then also maybe think about any colors that might add something new to my wardrobe, maybe evolve it and add some excitement. And so those are some things that I'm thinking about in terms of color palette. Next, I just really don't want to focus on solids in this coming year. I have a lot of solid pieces in my wardrobe. I feel like I have what I need in terms of solids, and I don't feel like they would add as much value to my wardrobe as some printed items would. Since I can only add 20 items throughout the year, I want to focus on dimension, texture, print to build on the pieces that I already have, which are already mostly solid. When it comes to print direction, I'm pretty focused when it comes to the prints that I'm interested in. I love a sort of floral print. I love like a small floral. I like a vertical stripe, a placed stripe. I don't like an all over stripe. I like a gingham or a check or a plaid. And those all have to fit into the color palette for it to be something that I would like and that I think would fit within my wardrobe, because I think when it comes to prints, it's already something that would maybe be a little more difficult to style as opposed to a solid. So making sure it's in colors that fit in with my existing wardrobe is really important to me. So that's something that I think is going to be able to narrow down the pieces that I'm willing to bring into my wardrobe. Prints that I don't really want in my wardrobe, like I said, all over stripes. I'm not really that into dots. I know dots are super trendy and whatnot, but I don't know. They're not really in line with my personal style right now. I'm also not really interested in large scale prints as well as black grounded prints. I just think they are more difficult to style, and I want to focus on actually making it easier for me to put together outfits. Another thing I want to focus on this year in terms of my style is bridging the gap between daywear and loungewear. Basically anything that I add to my wardrobe clothing wise, I want to fit my style, including sweatpants, activewear. That's something that I really did not care about in the past, and I realized this year that it actually has an effect on me. In the past, I was like, I need sweatpants, and I just bought a random pair of sweatpants. I was like, these are cheap and they are categorized as sweatpants and they're comfortable, and I'm just gonna buy them and that'll be that. And I'm like, I don't like wearing these. I don't feel good in them. I feel like I'm a potato. And so for Christmas, I asked for a pair of barrel leg sweatpants. It is noticeable how much better I feel in these barrel leg sweatpants over the pairs of regular sweatpants that I have, which is mind-boggling. Like, it sounds a little bit silly and frivolous maybe, but I know for me, clothes can either boost my mood or not have an effect or make me feel worse. And so it's just nice to have pieces for any and all parts of my life that fit with my style. I started to understand this like late 2024 when I finally bought a pair of athletic pants that fit my style that I could wear to physical therapy. And it actually felt good to get dressed for this thing that I have to go do. And I still feel like myself, and I felt like I was representing my personal style, and it just felt good. So having that same effect with these barrel leg sweatpants that I got for Christmas is just giving me more evidence to the fact that this is something that is worthwhile and I want to continue in 2026. And then on the flip side, making sure that the pieces that I'm bringing into my wardrobe are comfortable and can be worn in more of a lay around the house sort of way. And I'm not saying all of my clothes need to be like that. I definitely have some more polished pieces. But I think there is something to be said for something that can do it all. A piece that can feel like loungewear but can also be dressed up for a day-to-day outfit. Finally, I want to focus on accessories and layering pieces over base pieces. I think both layering and accessories will help make the pieces that I already have go farther, and I'll be able to create more interesting outfits without having to add a lot more pieces, because I'll be able to use these layering pieces with multiple different outfits in multiple different ways, and I'll just be able to create a lot more combinations if it's a layering piece as opposed to a top or a bottom and whatnot. Same with accessories. I think an accessory can really change the overall aesthetic of an outfit, whether it's a piece of jewelry or a bandana or a headband or a belt or whatnot. So focusing on these pieces that will make an impact on my wardrobe as a whole is really important for me for this year. In addition to these more broad rules, I also have specific rules for specific pieces. For example, with t-shirts, I want them to be 100% cotton. I don't want any sort of poly blend or super drapey material. I want them to be a boxy shape. I want the sleeve to hit around, my mid bicep. I would prefer them to be a little bit cropped, and they cannot have any pockets on them. I'd prefer them to have a graphic over being solid. And I would like to focus on darker colors like burgundy and navy, because a lot of my t-shirts are in lighter colors at this point. Another example of my specific rules are with pants. I would like them to be high rise only. I like the inseam to be between 27 and 28 inches. And in addition to these fit rules, I want to focus on printed pants specifically. Now let's talk about my style and wardrobe goals for 2026. The first one is I want a seasonless wardrobe that is visible to me year round. Currently, I have a flat, wide box that sits on top of my closet, which stores a lot of my summer stuff. Some of my summer stuff still remained out because it's in my favorites closet, but some of it was stored away. And the goal would be to reduce my wardrobe enough that I don't have to store anything away. I can move things around, put the summer stuff towards the back when it's winter, and then the winter stuff towards the back when it's summer. But I think that not having to put anything away will allow me access to everything all year round. So if I am trying to come up with an outfit and I feel like I need something, and what do you know, it's available in something that I would have stored away normally, I think will allow me to create more outfits, because I'm going to have 100% of my wardrobe available to me. But I think it's also going to remove maybe feeling like I need something when I already have it, but it's stored away, if that makes sense. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really wish I had XYZ. And then I'll open my stored clothes and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that piece. And it's beautiful. So that's something I really want to change this year. Another thing I want to work on in 2026 is I want to have an arsenal of outfits. I have a couple of outfit formulas that I really love and I've been able to iterate on and create a lot of different versions of. For example, I'll start with a skirt, a t-shirt, and an open button down, and it'll sort of evolve and inspire a different outfit, and then that inspires a different outfit, and then that inspires a different outfit. And through that, I'll have created like 5 or 6 outfits just from that one inspiration, by either switching out small parts of the outfit, like maybe changing the t-shirt out only or the skirt, or just keeping the overall proportion of a long skirt with a long top, and maybe doing, instead of a long open button down over a skirt, maybe doing a long sweatshirt over a dress. And so I'm getting a similar proportion, a shape that I like, but in completely different pieces, so the outfit feels completely different. So that is something that I started in 2025, and it's something I want to continue in 2026. I think that it allows me to create a lot of outfits that I really love, but in a way that doesn't feel so hard. Sometimes it feels hard to put an outfit together. You really got to work on it and use your brain, and sometimes you just want to throw an outfit together that you think is cute. And so this has been a great way for me to find a lot of those, because I'm starting with base pieces that I really love, or a silhouette that I really love already, and just tweaking it a little bit, but creating a whole new outfit. So in 2026, I want to build on this and create even more. Another thing that's been on my mind for this year has been to work on a way to foster my creativity within my wardrobe without having to commit to a full month of a style challenge. I do really love my style challenges, and I'm excited to probably do one in February. So if you want to do a style challenge with me in February again, make sure you comment style challenge down below, and I will see if enough people want to join where I can go ahead and create one. And I am working on formatting them in a way that allows for maybe some chill outfits throughout or some downtime, maybe like a free space here and there, I'm not sure. But I do want to try and think of things to do in between. So the Index app Open Closet has been really helpful for this, and my Styler to Say Goodbye series is also really great for this. But I'm just curious if you guys have any suggestions for how I can be creative. I don't know if you guys would be interested in this, but if maybe I asked for a prompt on a day or the night before I get ready, and you guys can send me your prompts, and then that way I can use that as my creative prompt for the day instead of doing 30 in a row that I've written myself. So maybe that's an option. If you guys have any other ideas, let me know in the comments. But that's also something that's been on my mind, is like how to get that creativity day to day without having to commit to a full 30-day style challenge. I also want to keep working on curating my wardrobe, getting down to my favorites, reducing my wardrobe, and seeing how that affects how I get dressed and how I create outfits. I saw and felt a noticeable difference between how my wardrobe feels now versus in January of 2025. It feels so much more curated. I don't know if I've ever said this on here, but I love the idea of making my closet and my clothes feel a bit like a boutique or a clothing store where everything's organized in a way that's like telling a story or letting the customer know that these go together, and it all works together and looks really cohesive and aesthetically pleasing. So that's like my pipe dream for my own closet, is like getting to a place where I'm excited to go in there and look around and shop my closet and create outfits. So that's something that I want to keep working on in 2026. I also just want to keep getting to know my personal style and my wardrobe as a whole, and discovering new combinations and finding more of my favorite outfit combinations and just falling more in love with this wardrobe that I've built. So that is on my mind as well. At the end of the day, this is a bit nerve-wracking. I started off strong with my previous low buy and ended up crashing and burning. So I'm a little bit nervous about this year. But with everything I learned in 2025, the guardrails I have in place, and hopefully some of you guys are going to be my accountability buddies, hopefully I can make this one a success. Let me know if you guys would want some follow-up videos. I was thinking about doing a 6-month update, and then obviously at the end of the year giving you guys a final update. If you would want more or less than that, let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know to make more videos like this. I love making videos all about personal style and making the most out of your wardrobe, so if you don't want to miss anything from me, make sure to subscribe. It really helps my channel. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy my video where I talk about the 117 items that I got rid of in 2025, what categories had the biggest reductions and what stayed the same, as well as the wardrobe gaps that I uncovered. So I will leave that here and see you in the next one. Bye!